Hey Coca-Cola, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak to you guys. Thank you for being willing to listen. At first, we would like to just kind of talk about you guys raising the prices. You all have mentioned that. We would say if you can do that incrementally, I feel like that would probably be the best way to do it. For example, I know Netflix just went and pushed their prices up really high really quick. And I know a lot of people got upset about it. And do that at some kind of slow manner. I feel like that would reduce your blowback a little bit. As well, I know you said that Pepsi has this same problem. So we feel that if you could wait until Pepsi started raising their prices possibly, and do it either at the same time or possibly after. If you're the second company, you're not going to get as much of a blowback. We feel that a lot of people are probably going to get upset if you're the only one at the time. If you did it at the same time, then both of you are not going to get as huge of a blowback because people are going to be upset, but they're not going to target you specifically. Another thing that we would like to talk about is with your kind of marketing, your strategy, and your advertising. You guys are a huge brand. Like 90% of the world recognizes the Coca-Cola brand. Being able to show some of us and remind others where you came from. An advertising strategy that surrounds your roots, where you came from, just be able to relate more to your customers in that way. The Hilltop commercial that came out in the 70s, that was great. That was probably by far one of the best commercials and ads that has ever been. Even replaying old ads like that would be pretty cool and nostalgic. Again, just showing us where you came from, relate back to the customer is ultimately what that strategy would do. There is a market out there that when they think of Coca-Cola, they think of Jack Daniels. I don't know if that is something you guys don't want to go towards, introducing alcohol within your company. I know that a lot of people really enjoy just to sit down with a Jack and Coke. If you guys tried to reach out as some kind of joint venture with them, whether it just be pre-mixing drinks and selling them, in some kind of glass bottle. I mean, you would have to change your bottle up. You couldn't make it look the exact same as your original Coke bottles, obviously. But that could be a joint strategy that you might consider that might bring more interest back into Coca-Cola. I know you might think that, that might only work in the US market. However, when I was in China a few years ago, people would come up to me and ask me which part of America I was from. And I would say I live in Tennessee. The thing that came to their mind was, oh, country music and Jack Daniels. Not only do they recognize your brand, but they recognize Jack Daniels. That could be a joint strategy that you guys worked on together. Start it here in America and possibly introduce it internationally, at least in China at first, and see how that goes. Bring something that people already know and love, just recognizing it publicly would definitely be very helpful with your business.
Hi everyone. I wanted to take a minute to talk about one of the questions that was asked of us to research. It was how to make the factory a more appealing place to work. You guys had mentioned trying to bring in the foosball tables, and I had worked for some companies that did the pizza parties and the foosball tables, and there was always going to be the one person who doesn't eat pizza or doesn't play foosball, and he's just going to be thinking to himself, why couldn't that have just been a raise or a bonus to me? One thing that my wife's company does, and I've heard only good things about, is the employees can, one or two of them every day can schedule a 15-minute walk around the building with the head VIPs, the presidents, the CEOs, and they can just get some one-on-one time, get their face out there if there might be a position opening up. They can have their ideas heard and really just get a chance to connect with the upper management and feel like they're a part of the team. That might be something you guys are able to look into, to consider, to use, and I hope it helps.
External environment analysis. We wanted to concentrate less on opportunities, but do want to note that Coke has a strong product diversification. Some of the threat areas we've seen was product acceptance. Using the freestyle machine data would be a great way to see whether or not the general public was going to accept a certain product or not. However, once a product is out for consumers, and it's not being accepted, you should either advertise more for it or drop the product totally. One of the other areas we've seen was healthy products and indirect competitors. Culture changes with healthy products affect Coke consumption, period, and the market share. The last one was the floating interest rate debt. Interest rates are forecasted to be rising. Management should take a close eye on whether or not they can change their floating interest rate debt. Internal environmental analysis. Some of the areas our group wanted to discuss were strengths and weaknesses combined in this area. Our first strength was brand recognition. The Coke brand is known worldwide, and we see that as an incredible strength for the company. Brand loyalty. Consumers are very loyal to the Coke brand itself and the products that they consume. Growth rate, 3 times in 3 years. We see this leading into a big strength once the challenges are reduced, like the SAP enterprise system migrating to 1 at the end of the year, and managing the culture change inside the acquisitions. One strength that the 3 times size increase has created is the distribution network. 83 centers. This is great for supply chain arena and to keep the transportation costs down. One other area our group wanted to bring up in weaknesses was water management. Everywhere we researched, water management was a sign of weakness for the company because the vast consumption of water and the rumors of mixing pesticides in the water. We just want management to keep an eye out for that area.
In this section, I wanted to go into the financial analysis, and I don't want to spend too much time here, but what I really wanted to hone in on and take a deep dive into was the current ratio, because the you have to have a good short term and able to make it to the long term. So what I had done is gone to the SEC website and I pulled the total assets and the total liabilities, and I did some analysis on the current ratio. Well, first the asset growth trends, and from here you can see it starts off strong, gets a little weaker, and then comes back up, and then the same thing by period. The liabilities, they're growing at a rate a bit faster than the current assets, so that might be concerning and might be something to try to work on. Did the same thing to show the change in the trends. And over here, this was the asset and liability spread. It's just the assets minus the liabilities. It is averaged out by period. And so you can see it starts off quite large, but the average gets a little smaller each and every period. So that could be another factor for concern.